Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost. I'ma stay loud, stay proud, never running out, never heading south. I'll be spreading out, call it word of mouth, can't put me down, I'll be getting loud. You can have it douse, not what I'm about, have your fucking clout. It be raining now, I keep making sound, go another round, bitch I'm legend bound, can't stop me now. You don't wanna fuck with me, a slow burn like a disease. Just tell me that I can and I'll show you things that you couldn't believe. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can.
Welcome to Friday Night Lights. I am your host, Mikey, and sitting in for Tommy, we got our boy Jarek. How you doing, buddy?
All right, man. Just ready to get started.
Right. We got a lot of news. I will tell you, I was actually on a plane last Sunday. I did not get to see the Jets game. I caught the highlights only. So getting off a plane, I was like expecting us to, just stomp a mud hole. It's the Jets. That's what we do, right? Get off the plane and find out we lost. Heartbroken. And then I go back and watch the highlights, and then I find out about Josh getting hurt, and I'm just like, what the heck did I miss? Oh, it was rough. Dallas in the house. What's going on, Dallas? How you doing tonight, buddy? We'll start with around the league. So a bunch of quarterback injuries, Jarek. We have Allen, obviously, questionable. He did get a limited practice today, which is great. But Kyle Murray just popped up with a hammy. Matthew Stafford with a concussion. What's going on with these quarterbacks getting hurt as the season goes on?
Kyler Murray is kind of the same thing with Josh Allen, man, where everything is kind of just everything's just on his shoulders, and Kyler tried to do too much, man. But for the most part, with Matthew Stafford, I mean, again, he's just been unfortunately he's been banged up all year round, and again, hopefully he can be all right, man. But no, man, the defensive play has actually gotten a lot better compared to like when it has, as far as what it's been. I don't know, maybe the game is in a way kind of, caught up with offense. And that's not just with NFL football. That's with college too. Like college footballs this year, like there's not any, of course there's the Bryce and there's the CJ Strouds of the world, but but the quarterback play has not been excellent compared to what we've seen in the past. So it's kind of like defenses. It seems like they're starting to kind of evolve themselves a little bit. The talent pool has gotten a little bit better defensively, and for the most part, I mean, yeah, I've read somewhere like there's a stat somewhere where quarterbacks are taking way more hits than they've actually have over the last 10, 15, 20 years, which is crazy, especially in the modern day version of our offense. It's insane. But no, man, the physicality has definitely gotten there, and quarterbacks have definitely gotten more banged up, man. I think that's a little bit more of a testament to the defensive side of the ball where, again, it's just defensive play. It seems like it's catching up to the high level potency of what we're seeing from offense so far.
It could also be a glaring weakness that they've been talking about for the last few years, that the offensive line play has just gone down.
Oh, yeah.
Like most of those super athletic guys who used to play the O-line, they wanted to get paid as that tackle, are now playing the defensive side of the ball, getting paid on the D-line. So you're not seeing those big guys stay on the offensive side, and you've seen really bad offensive line play. During the trade deadline, all you heard from all the different, contenders, fan groups were like, let's make a deal for an offensive lineman. Make a deal for an offensive lineman. The problem is there isn't enough good offensive linemen in the league to be able to stack up that you'll see him. If you have a good offensive lineman, very rarely does he ever hit the open market. Orlando Brown is one of the few. Trent Williams, who's one of the greatest of all time at left tackle, was let go or traded due to the fact that he just didn't get along with management anymore. Very rarely do you see those guys go out the door because they get paid, because there isn't good ones out there anymore.
Yeah, that is. I mean, like I said, next year when you look at the free agent market, like a lot of the guys that are going to be free agents next year, I mean, for the most part, they're past their primes, and there's again, some of those guys are still going to be solid players, But like you said, like it is rare to find franchise type, whether it's tackles, guards, especially centers. Like there isn't that one premier position like how it was for a blindside guy to for the tackle position where
Mm-hmm.
that guy's getting paid 80, 90, 100 million. Now that the market's gotten a lot bigger, that
Yeah.
much, that they're going to get paid the highest. Now it's pretty much anywhere that you can find center, guard, anywhere. You find that guy that's your career franchise type of guy that a franchise does not want to have. And if that dude hits the open market, he is going to get one. He's going to be wanted by a lot of other teams. And I think right now for the Buffalo Bills, their problem is right now is that we're paying a lot. We're paying so much of our guys, and we're trying to keep that stability within an organization that some of these big time free agents, when they do hit the open market, we can't even compete because we just don't have the cap space to do it. We don't got the cap space to do it. We would rather address other areas that's not that that definitely could help us, but at least it's something that we can afford. We can't really afford any offensive lineman or right now, and it sucks because that's probably one of the biggest areas where we definitely do need to get improved because I'm tired of watching Josh Allen got to improvise and he's got to try to scramble outside the pocket almost every play because of kind of how subpar the offensive line can be. But that's just the way the league is.
So looking at like how the Chiefs did, they rebuilt their offensive line in like one season. Then they went out and they
Mm-hmm.
drafted two young good studs. They traded for Orlando Brown Jr., who's a stud. Um, does it surprise you Bean hasn't put more draft capital into our offensive line? I mean, outside of Cody Ford, Bean hasn't really like. Then he went and got Spencer Brown and he got Doyle, but those were day two,
Yeah.
day three picks. Are you surprised we haven't spent a premium pick on outside of Cody Ford on a offensive lineman? I thought for sure
Yeah.
Dylan Parham in the third would have been ideal. He's starting for the Raiders.
Great. Yep. And that was the concern for me is that in the second round, when you still had guys that you could have chosen, that you could have picked up right there,
Hmm.
we decided to go with a running back in James Cook, who would have been there most likely in the third round. And even if he wasn't there in the third round, for the most part, the type of back that you want to try to get, those guys typically will be in the mid rounds. Those are not guys. I mean, typically the guys that go in day two are day one starting type of running backs, not
Hmm.
the receiving, not the limited receiving backs that we've seen so far. And that's kind of been, in a way, that's been Bean's biggest issue is that really besides, again, Josh Allen, he's drafted, Tremaine Edmonds has done fairly well.
Hmm.
But really, with the exception of some of those guys, Ed Oliver has been a solid player. I mean, he's not lived up to Aaron Donald status, but still been a solid player.
I mean,
But
that was
really,
that
with
was.
the
I think that was bad scouting to put that on a kid coming out of
that's
college
the
to,
part.
to
Yeah.
be one of the greatest ever. I mean, that's rough.
Yeah. They thought he was Aaron Donald. That's
Yeah,
because of his attributes and his
yeah.
size, but no, he was a lot smaller compared to that. But he's still been solid, but just not that. It's not worth that capital. Um, but really, with the exception, really of Tremaine, of no, really, yeah, with the exception of Tremaine and Josh, as far as they got him at the right perfect times, we've not
Hmm.
drafted well in the early rounds. I mean, even with Kiara Elam, I mean, he's done okay, pretty okay so far as a rookie. So we still have to find out about him. But typically, Brandon Bean drafts well in the later rounds. That's where his bread and money comes together. But um,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
if you think about that, let's look at his second round picks. He's gone Ford. He's gone Basham. He's
Zach
gone
Moss.
Epinesa. Zach
Mm-hmm.
Moss was a third.
Okay, yep,
So
third round
so
pick.
so is Ford, Basham, Epinesa were the last three second round picks. Oh, then Cook, his last three second round picks. We really haven't hit on any of those guys yet. Epinesa is basically a rotational guy who's
Mm-hmm.
lost out recently on snaps to Shaq Lawson, who's been DN3 recently. Boogie Basham. Didn't we go and
Boogie
get
Bash.
Boogie Basham
Yep.
at the end too? Like we went
After
back to back.
Russo.
Yeah, after Rousseau, we went back to back, and it's just we haven't seen that play out yet. However, late round man, that guy's just been stealing guys in the late rounds. Um, like that one draft, he grabbed Davis and he grabbed Jackson and he grabbed Bass and like so on and so forth. And then this last year, he grabbed Benford and Shakir, who have been fantastic. By the way, we need to get Shakir the ball more. We need to get him involved in this
He
offense.
needs to take over Isaiah McKenzie's role, but
Yeah,
he needs to take over that role. There's no
badly,
doubt.
badly. The dude's a much better slot player. But okay, well, we'll keep moving on. Well, I kind of dove us into that, but the second head coach was fired. Frank Reich was given his walking papers. They brought in Jeff Saturday, an analyst.
Oh
Jeff,
man,
what is going on in Indy, man?
His reasoning for explaining why they hired Jeff Saturday is he couldn't even compile a sentence, man. I mean, he couldn't. Jim Irsay couldn't even compile a full sentence as far as his reasoning to why he was like. First, he said, "Well, because he's inexperienced," and then he said, "Well, we got him because he's experienced." Like, what are you doing?
That's such billionaire talk right there.
Oh my God! This is going down the drain. They don't have an answer. I think that was kind of the reason why they got him is because you know what, we don't have a direct answer. I would not be surprised at all if they did actually try to hire Peyton Manning to be a head coach, but because he probably said no, so I'm good. I'm good where I'm at.
Jeff Saturday said.
And let's just go ahead and get Jeff. I mean, no, this is just chaos, absolute chaos. But no, I think Jeff Saturday, this will be a failed experiment, and they're going to go ahead and try to find a different head coach. But no, it sucks it sucks for your Colts fan because those last couple of years where those were clearly playoff teams. I mean, one of them did make the playoffs with Phillip Rivers, but those are really good football squadrons that they were literally, you can make an argument they were a quarterback away. And they decided to get these one-year veteran guys, these older veteran type of players, instead of actually trying to build their franchise after Andrew Luck, which they've never recovered. I mean, I think they were completely shocked ever since Luck retired, and they just could not find an answer because of pretty much what Luck and the Colts put themselves in that sort of position. They couldn't really get that next guy top 5 unless they truly wanted to tank, but their roster was so damn deep that, at that point, they said, you know what, we're still good enough. Let's get these veteran guys. This is just the year where it finally just caught up with them, right? With Matt Ryan, they thought they can let's bring in a veteran quarterback in Matt Ryan. He's still a solid quarterback. He doesn't have to carry that much responsibility. All he has to do is pretty much just game manage. We have to put him in a game management situation, and that has not even worked out for them as well. So,
no, it's the offensive line. Like they paid so much money. Like Quentin Nelson's been an all-world offense, guard since he's come into the league, and all of a sudden he can't play. Same with Kelly. Kelly's been one of those guys there. Like that offensive line just fell apart like overnight. I don't know if they just changed the scheme or what they did, but man, whatever is going on in Indy is not working. And Jeff Saturday, they had 2 former head coaches in the building as their offensive defensive coordinators, and they went with Jeff Saturday. I'm like, I thought it was a joke when I heard it. I was in St. Louis for work, and I woke up in the morning and I heard Jeff Saturday, and I'm like, oh, someone's playing around, right? And then it was like, no, that's serious. Like he was just smashing pancakes on ESPN.
This I'm sorry. This is even worse than when the Raiders hired Mike Mayock. Way worse than when the Raiders hired Mike Mayock. But this is
Mike Mayock understood the draft, and those type of pieces. Because let's be perfectly honest, Mayock wasn't running the show in Oakland. That was Gruden. Gruden was running. Mm-hmm. He had control of the 53. Mayock was there from a draft perspective to help him with the administration piece and be the draft guru. And God, did he tank at that job too.
He had a couple pieces, but that's he tanked that. Which is shocking. You watch his mock draft, and he is on the
only one left. I think, his mock draft, he was great. He got into the building and just couldn't figure it out. It's just one of those things. But oh God, this week I seen some chats coming in here. Cletus comes in and says Singletary is going to be the game changer this week. I don't think it's going to be Singletary. I think it's going to be Hines. Mike Ferrer comes in and says, now that Allen's getting older, get him in the line before he slows down and takes a ton of hits. Dallas comes in, really need that run game Sunday. Jason comes in with a hot take: Vikings over Bills if Allen doesn't play. Money line. Wow. Okay. Dallas and some better protection from receivers not named or production from receivers not named Diggs. Yeah, we were talking about this beforehand, Jarek. Davis has been so inconsistent this year. Um, the and all of a sudden his hands are sketchy. When did that happen? It's like just all of a sudden he started dropping balls. Like he's been so good the last couple of years and been so clutch with big catches. That game on Sunday when Josh threw that 70-yard rope, it hit him in the numbers and he dropped it. He catches that. They're at the 20-yard line. They're already in field goal range with a chance to score.
It's almost when I look at Gabe Davis over the last three games, it just seems like his confidence is wavering. Like it's like his route tree, like we talked about a little bit earlier before we went on air, but his route trees are getting like it's lazy. Like he's not finishing his routes. He's stopping halfway through the route sometimes when Josh Allen is throwing in his direction. But no, I mean the fact that he's top 10 in drops in when it comes to receiver, when it comes to all receivers, is absolutely insane. It's just I don't know what's going on. I don't know if because again he had that injury a little bit prior.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, it's kind of like I don't know if he's injured. That could be it. That
he's trying to play through his ankle.
He's trying to, because typically, like again, Cole Beasley's like a perfect example here. Because remember, Cole Beasley played through like a torn, I think he
played on a broken leg. He played on a
broken legs. We never knew about it. It was silent. They hit it all throughout the season. We never knew about it.
Yeah.
Maybe this could be something where Gabe Davis has, where that injury is still, maybe it could be a much worse situation for Davis. He's trying to play through that injury. That's the only possible explanation I can think of because, again, typically, because typically injuries, again, they can affect the mind, I mean, especially mentally, right? Mm-hmm. That can affect your entire psyche because now you have to think about, well, now I got to think about myself. I got to be cautious about my route patterns, right? Do I have to cut a little bit too deep if I have to try to go on a little bit
of route? Could be why it's becoming lazy.
Yes. As far as planting that foot goes, I want to make sure I don't want to plant the wrong foot. So that's the only possible situation I can think of is that maybe this is something we don't really know about. Maybe there's more of an injury that's lingering for him and he's trying to fight through it. But besides that, I mean, it's something's going on. Something mentally wrong, and I think maybe physically something going on with him because I can't explain otherwise why he's played this bad. Because again, he had a phenomenal start to the season, and now it's kind of like it's not the same Gabe Davis we're accustomed to seeing.
Right, and then we move into the slot, and Crowder goes down, and it becomes McKenzie's show, and like all of a sudden McKenzie just fell off the radar. Where's that guy been? Where's the guy from training camp? Where's the guy that we saw that little scatterbug? What happened? Like he trips over himself now and falls down in the end zone. Like,
I can't explain McKenzie. I don't think injury. I don't think it's maybe that's just who he is, honestly. Because now all of a sudden we're putting him in a much bigger role, and I think defenses can maybe the defenses can game plan. I just maybe that's just McKenzie's just not really used to being that starting role, and that's why I think that maybe we should get a guy like Khalil Shakir. Maybe he should get an opportunity. Maybe we should put McKenzie. I mean, maybe he's more of a special teams ace type of player. But I would even say this, for Ken Dorsey's like, even though we're trying to play him in that Cole Beasley type of position, I still think that we shouldn't really take away from the sweeps. Right, when was the last time we started to run some more sweeps with McKenzie? We can use him more of those in and out routes like we used to have. I think that we need to be a little bit more creative with Isaiah McKenzie instead of just having him run these in routes, these drag routes, running these crossers. I don't think he's particularly used to being in that position that Cole Beasley can run. I honestly believe that for the most part, we need to put him more in that creative role like we used to. That we're used to seeing him in the past, but I just don't think he's really used to this moment. And I think maybe you can get a better player like Shakir, who, even though he's not as quick as McKenzie, he's definitely a better route runner and a guy that can separate and create some space and has more reliable hands than McKenzie. So I think that later down the stretch, we could particularly see a change, and maybe we can get Isaiah McKenzie to play more as that all-around player that we're used to having him in the past.
I would like to see him go back into that role. because I'm not seeing a whole lot of jet sweeps or motion or any of that. All of a sudden, like
Mhm.
we started the year with it, and we had a short, quick passing game. And as the season's gone on, our short passing game has gone away, and it's been bigger shots, deeper shots, and it hasn't been clicking. We need to go back. Like I saw a breakdown. I don't know if it was Baldy or who it was, but one of them was doing it, and they showed that Josh Allen's now trying to fit things in 25, 30 yards downfield rather than taking that 8 yard clip. And I'm wondering if it's an Allen decision making thing, if it's a game plan thing where they're saying, look here, try to get these big plays because we're not putting together these long drives. But all of a sudden, we just look out of sync. And it happened last year too. Coming out of the bye, we just looked out of sync, and it took us 4 weeks. We dropped the bad
Mhm.
one to Jacksonville. Then we had a close one against the Jets that I think we just kicked a bunch of field goals on. And then we got beat up by Tampa Bay in the first half. We came out in the second half. We tied it up, and we still lost. But then after that, we seemed to click in that second half, and then we took off again. I
Yeah,
was
I mean,
hoping, that when Dorsey was here, we weren't going to have that. But maybe we just crowned Dorsey too soon, and now the league's starting to catch up to him, and
yeah,
he has to then make his next adjustment.
yeah, he is literally running the same system that Brian Dable ran here. And again, he's the disciple, right? He's the Brian Dable
Mm-hmm.
disciple. And I mean, literally, I mean, from what we've seen, and maybe this is a good thing, but this can also be a little bit of a curse because now those same issues that applied for this offense are now happening again for this year as far as our weaknesses goes. And when for 2 weeks in a row now, we've seen teams figured out a way how to slow down this passing attack, how to stop it a little bit more often, take away those crossing routes, make sure to take off those deep shots, force throws underneath. And we've seen it 2 weeks in a row happen, and somehow in some way, instead of trying to make adjustments, instead of trying to make teams try to force force underneath, not make them
Mm-hmm.
pay for playing back by running the football, we seem to continue to say, you know what, we're going to continue to attack. We're going to continue to attack until something can go right for us. And that was the problem that happened the last couple of years in this offense. And that's what's happening right now for us. No confidence at all in our rushing attack. Now, again, we don't have the offensive line built for the rushing attack, even though I think that is a little bit better because of Queensberry now being up there. But something's got to give because right now we're seeing Josh Allen make the plays that he makes because he doesn't. First of all, he doesn't have that Cole Beasley guy right there at the
Mm-hmm.
receiving position. He doesn't have that security blanket. We don't really involve Dawson
It's
Knox. I don't know
Diggs and
why.
then everybody else. It's Diggs and
Yeah,
then everybody else.
it's Diggs and everybody else right now, and the fact that Gabe Davis is so in sync, we don't really include Dawson Knox in the receiving attack for God's know
Didn't we
what.
just pay that guy like $14 million a year?
I
How is
get
he
14.
not incorporated in our offense?
I have no idea. We use him as an inline tight end, but that is practically about it, which is insane. But I don't know. It's like Josh Allen is literally putting the game on his shoulders, and
Mm-hmm.
we've seen too many quarterbacks in this league do it, and it's not from just a short term wise, but from a long term perspective, that literally can ruin careers at times because quarterbacks are putting the game on their shoulders and they're trying to make too many plays. Hence, Josh Allen always taking off for the run. Hence, always him trying to truck defenders and running over defenders and try to gain those extra yards. And again, making backward throws, which again, he said, you know what? I got to calm down. I can't be making backward throws. What does he do the next week against the Jets? He makes it back. He makes it back. Throws it right, throws it. I mean, it's just it's not really stubbornness, or maybe it is stubbornness, but that's just how he is now. And
Well,
I think
I noticed that when Josh gets help and guys are catching the ball, he tends to get in rhythm and things are going well. When guys
he
start dropping the ball, he tends to take bigger shots. He tends to be
right,
riskier, and he makes bigger mistakes because he feels like he has to create himself and do it himself. He stops
right.
trusting everybody.
And I wonder for that Kansas City game because Isaiah McKenzie had the type of game that he had. I've noticed a lot from Josh Allen that even though again he still goes for McKenzie at times, but it's almost like he leads, like he tries to make the perfect throw for Isaiah McKenzie because it seems like he's just too afraid that, well, if I kind of lead it, if I try to lead him a little bit, he's not going to catch it here. or if I try to throw it a little bit under a little bit here, he's not going to catch it. Like Josh Allen is trying to make he's trying to be too perfect. He's trying to make the perfect
thinking
play
rather
for
than
his guys.
playing.
Exactly.
And that's not a good way to go about it.
Exactly. And I feel like for the most part, this is why the running game matters so much. And again, a lot of guys will sit up here and say, well, you know what? We're not a running football school. Listen, we know this. We're not a running team. We understand this. But this is why running the football matters so much, because it takes the pressure off of Josh's shoulders. We can lean on a running game just for one game. If we can, like the Jets, you saw what the Jets was able to do, right? Not put too much pressure on Zach Wilson. They simplified a lot of the plays for Zach Wilson so that he doesn't have to work and make some of those hard decisions. And even if the passing attack doesn't work, what happened on that last drive? What happened on the last drive for the Jets when they drained 7 minutes off the clock? They ran the football. They didn't want to put the game on his shoulders. They ran the football. Why? Because they didn't have to. When you run the ball and you can have so much success, you don't have to put the game on your quarterback's shoulders. And there was times and situations, even when we were blowing teams out, where we don't even have to throw the football that much anymore. We can
still throw it,
and we still continue to do that because that's our bread and butter. And I'm telling you, there's going to be games like we saw from the Jets and Packers where teams are going to figure out how to stop Buffalo's passing attack. It doesn't happen that often, but it's going to happen at some point. And the fear is that if we get into the playoffs and we do go against that team that knows how to do it, we're not going to run the football and try to lessen the pressure and try to open up the passing attack anymore. We're going to continue to thread the needle there until something can work. And it's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I don't understand. I'm watching last night. I was sitting down watching the game. Right, it's the Falcons and the Panthers. The Panthers have one of the worst offensive lines in football, yet they can run for 200 yards. How can one of the worst offensive lines in football open up holes, but we can't? I don't understand. Yeah, it's got to be a scheme thing. It's got to be. I don't understand it.
I've never seen a team, because this happens every single week. Buffalo can run, and Buffalo can actually run the ball in the first half, but they don't go. They don't go within it. Like as soon as the second half starts, we go away from it. The first half happened again where we actually ran the ball pretty well. We were opening holes up for the most part. Singletary was starting to get things going. Cook was starting to get a little bit more involved in the offense. What happens during the second half? We completely go away from the running attack. 5 carries combined for our running backs in the second half when we had 10 in the first. It's just ridiculous. And it happens every single week. I don't know what it like. We can rush for 300 yards in the first half, and we will just go away from it the entirety of the set. I don't understand the process of what is going on with their offense when it comes to the running attack, but it can't be that bad. You brought in Roger Saffold in not to pass protect. You brought in Roger Saffold in. Exactly. He went to the Pro Bowl because of his run blocking ability. You brought in Quinsbury in there because of his run blocking ability, because you wanted more physical guys up front to help out, especially because Spencer Brown, he's not a pass. Spencer Brown is he's really more of a run blocker more than he is an actual pass protector. That's his main strength, is his physicality and his mixed in with his athleticism, which equals into a much better rushing attack. I don't understand how you have guys like Singletary and Cook out there with Nyheim Hines now, including your offense, and you don't want to give them the carries. I don't get it.
Or not even the carries. Throw a screen. You know we're allowed to throw screens, right? That's not illegal. We are allowed to throw screens. So, but anyways, we'll jump over. I mean, we can be there. Tommy in the house. Sorry, can't be there, guys. Wedding duties. That's right. It's all right, buddy. Do your thing. Tommy, thumbnail speaks volumes on how I feel about this game if Josh Allen doesn't play. Tommy's a nut. Enjoy the wedding, brother. Let's bring this in. We're gonna go through. Okay. Consider half portions. I don't understand. Why is this? What is going on? Okay. So for the Vikings, we have Adam Thielen, who was limited, then full. No game designation. Garrett Bradbury, the center, no game designation. But Cam Dantzler and Delvin Tomlinson are both going to be out this week. That's a big loss in the middle of that D line, and I don't know exactly who's going to be replacing them. And then Cam Dantzler is one of their starting corners, so it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see how that plays out coming in this week.
Yeah, and Delvin Tomlinson, he's more of a space eating type of guy. Very athletic, but pretty much a very important guy that can stop the run, which should tell you something. But I still feel like we might. I don't know. Who knows? We're gonna have to find out what happens on Sunday. But they do. Yeah, you're right. They do lose two important key pieces. But again, you lose that one guy that can plug the middle. Now we have to see if do they have that? We're assuming they have that in their scouting report. They should have that in their scouting report. Maybe that's something that we can take advantage of, especially if Allen doesn't play. But we'll see.
Speaking of the Bills, let's go through them. Josh Allen, right elbow, did not practice, limited practice today. It's good to see that he even got a limited in. He's questionable. Tremaine Edmonds, he followed the Josh Allen plan this week. He was DNPs for 2 straight days, then limited. He's also questionable. Poyer and Rousseau both have already been ruled out. Kyer Elam is doubtful. He didn't practice. He was limited on Wednesday, but then didn't practice the last 2 days with an ankle. So I'm not expecting to see Kyer Elam. Maybe we see Trey White this week. It'll be interesting to see if Trey White makes a comeback this week. And then everyone else is pretty much good to go. That means we're going to see the return of Spencer Brown, which might not be a bad thing considering how bad Questenberry looked last week at right tackle. It was his guy who actually hit Josh in the arm. He struggled with that speed rush because he's not as athletic as Spencer Brown is. Can't believe I'm happy to see Spencer Brown coming back as up and down as he's been. But he's more athletic. They don't tend to get around him quite as easy as they get around Questenberry. So it'll be interested to see how this plays out. It all really relies on Josh Allen if he plays or not.
Yeah, and for the most part, the last couple of years, again, I shouldn't be really angry about the injuries, man, but really, I think we've been spoiled about we haven't really suffered a lot of huge injuries over the last 2 to 3 years until this time around, where all of a sudden we could, potentially follow the best team we've had in years and decades, and all of a sudden all these injuries are just coming left and right out of nowhere. But no, man, we've been unlucky with the injuries. I think for this game, more in particular, like I said, it'll be great to see Tre'Davious White coming back if he can't play. I'm confident in our secondary. They've played really, really well despite the losses of Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, Tre'Davious White, and the rest of those guys in there. They've done a really, really good job of filling in their roles. Jaquan Johnson's probably been the weakest one out of all of them, but even then, for the most part, at some point, I'm not going to be that hard on a backup safety. He's a backup safety for a reason. He's more of a special teams ace. But again, we still need to be appreciative of DeMar Hamlin. He's played phenomenal this year.
Yeah, stepping in for Hyde, he's played really well.
Exactly. And then we had again, Christian Benford has done the best job he potentially can, and Dane Jackson. Hopefully, we get to see him, as good as new there. But Matt Milano probably being back, that'd be huge for us. Tremaine Edmonds is not that huge of a loss. I hate to say it, but as much as I think
he's bigger than a lot of people give him credit for. I really do. A lot of people just take Edmonds for granted. That size he has and his wingspan closes a lot of throwing range.
Yeah,
his coverage ability isn't great. Nice. It's not great, and I'll give you that. He's more reactive than proactive on it. However, a lot of guys, they don't throw a lot of the over the middle stuff because of how big his zone is. His wingspan
when he sees it, when he actually can read it properly and he sees it, it's dead. It's dead to rights there. My biggest issue, and I still think it would be, is that we play him out of position. We don't play him at the right position. That's always been. You don't think he should be a middle linebacker? You think he should be? No, I think he's an outside linebacker that you can literally use him as you can legit put him in a Micah Parsons role. I've been arguing for that for years. that you can literally put him as what Houston does with Christian Harris, how they use him again as your prototypical weak. But if you want to use him as that extra pass rush, that extra blitzer guy, I think Tremaine Edmonds is a monster. Could be an absolute beast there. That's just kind of in my biggest critique is I think
the Darius Leonard, the
yes.
Lorenzo Alexander, the Micah Parsons. Like Parsons more of an edge rusher now this year.
He's more, he's a better edge than
you use him as a weapon in different ways, not knowing if he's coming or dropping. You know, our coaching staff is stubborn though. They just have what they have, and that's what they stick to. They just unfortunately that's the way they roll. And let's go back to Johnson real quick. Do you think we should continue seeing Johnson? Because that final drive, that 7-minute drive, only happened because he missed 3 tackles on that drive. Or would you rather see DeMarlo come back in there and play? He's been starting at other teams. I would almost prefer to see a Hamlin Marlowe secondary than see Johnson, because Johnson, he gave up that big one against the Dolphins where we lost because he had to play that game. And then he came into this game and he missed 3 tackles on that final drive that cost us. I'm kind of out on the guy. I'd rather see him just stay special teams and let's get DeMarlo in there.
Yeah, I gotta agree. It's like for Jaquan Johnson, I mean, he's not that bad of a player, but there's a reason. I mean, like I said, just like how I talked about earlier, when you watch DeMar Hamlin play, especially when he plays that Micah Hyde, that Jordan Poyer type of position, you can't really tell now he's a backup player. Now you actually think this guy looks like a quality NFL starter, and his stock has risen for the future. Jaquan Johnson looks like a backup player, and he's not really played the pass that well. He's not played the run not that well as well. I would start Dean Marlowe at this point. He knows this defense. He's played under it. He's a veteran here. At this point, you get him in there and you try. I mean, like I said, you have nothing to lose if you play Dean Marlowe over you, especially, again, if you start Jaquan Johnson at this point, you're not. I mean, again, there's confidence. There could be some sort of confidence there. Maybe you're just some hope that he can have a bounce back game. But I've seen too much of Jaquan Johnson to pretty much tell me at this point that guy needs to be starting, especially against probably a much better receiving core. Again, not the Dolphins receiving core like Jalen Waddle and Tyreek, but now that they get T.J. Hawkinson in the middle of that field, and they got
Justin Jefferson and Thielen and Dalvin Cook. I mean, they're coming in with some weapons.
Yeah,
I'm not comfortable with him back there.
That's a much more balanced team compared to what we've seen before. I am not willing to see Jaquan Johnson just get absolute thrashed, because that's a target. If he starts, I can guarantee you that the Vikings are game planning to find those notable matchups, and they're going to target him, especially in the run department by entering his side. So I would have nothing to lose at this point. Start Dean Marlowe.
Yeah, I'm with you. Johnson's made 2 starts, both have been losses. So maybe that's telling us maybe we should sign Jordan Poyer. I don't know. Maybe give that guy his money.
Yeah, I think again the sucky part about Poyer, man, is that the fact that he just got hurt. Because I think that is the one reason why I think Buffalo doesn't want to have that extension, because I think they are going to factor his age. It depends on the contract. Again, he's going to ask for at least $15 million. I think because someone's going to pay him at least that. They might actually pay him more because
Do you think someone's going to pay him that? Because let's go back and look at this last offseason. Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, coming off an all-pro year also, had to settle for a 3-year. What was it? He's getting like 9 a year.
Yeah, around like 9.
Yeah, he got like 9 a year, so it's like 3 year, 20-something million. He had 9 a year, and you think when you look at him, and Honey Badger is younger than Poyer, has had better accolades than Poyer, and it could only muster up a 3-year, $30 million deal. Say, you think someone's going to give Poyer a 3-year, $45 million deal?
I think someone could give a chance. I think someone could do it. Again, we've seen We've
That's too
seen
rich for my
safeties in
blood.
the past do it. I mean, yeah, Baltimore paid, I forgot his name is, but Baltimore paid the dude around about 14 and a half a year at that same position. And they drafted
Williams.
Kyle Hamilton
Yeah, Williams.
at that same position, which is stupid. But, so, I mean, we've seen it happen. But I think for Poyer, I think he's gonna ask for a lot of money. Despite what we
It's his
kind of
last big contract. He should.
yeah. That's the last opportunity he has, because if he settles down for like maybe a franchise tag, or if he gets that or gets another kind of low ball 1-year contract, I think that's done in that particular category. So in a way, again, it sucks that he got hurt because it kind of drops his value. Now I think he has to settle to that opportunity of getting that 9 million, 8 million, maybe even a little bit lower than that, because he's going to be 32 or no, he's 32 this year, he'll be 33
next year.
And Hyde's going to be around. He's going to be 34 next year. So
no, Hyde's a year younger.
He's a year younger. Okay, so so Hyde's
a
year younger. So yeah, they're around that same.
Yeah, Hyde's coming off of a neck injury,
and that's the concerning part, because that neck's been bothering him for years, even with Green Bay, and now it wasn't anything too significant, but it's around that same mark, and I don't know. I feel like it's going to drop both their values a little bit there, even though we all know they're top 5 safeties in the NFL. It's just that, again, when you're aging that fast and all of a sudden you're starting to pile up injuries, it's just the value starts to drop a little bit.
Okay, let's dig into this. Keys to the game: stop the run. I don't know what the hell happened to us during the bye week. We've come back and all of a sudden we can't stop the run. We were one of the best run defenses in the league to start the year, and then all of a sudden we're getting gashed.
Yeah, maybe that could be because Matt Milano wasn't there. Again, our linebacking play has not been the best.
Yeah, because Terrell Bernard looked lost.
Yeah, he did not look good. Our safety, and again, Jordan Poyer is one of the best when he plays. Is one of the best run stopping safeties in the league.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden he's out, and you got to replace with Jaquan Johnson. Yeah, it's not really there enough. So maybe from the second level, we need to get a little bit better there. But our defensive line is getting pushed. That's the shocking part to me, is that Tim Settle has not really looked the same compared to what he looked early in the beginning of the year. I think Jordan Phillips he's not been as great. He's not been great compared to what he was in the beginning of the season, but he's
not making those explosive plays that he was.
Yeah, he's not making those explosive plays and making those disruptions. Ed Oliver's kind of the same thing as well. We've not been that strong in the interior, which is the shocking part, because we literally built our defensive line this year around getting stronger, right?
Yeah.
You brought in Daquan Jones to stop the run. You brought in Settle to be a rotational piece with Oliver, but to stop the run as well. You brought in all these pieces, and we've not improved, at least over the last 2 games.
I don't understand it, and again, our coaching staff stubborn and refuses to adjust. Last week, there was zero reason to be running nickel. Bring in that extra linebacker to help stop the run, and they refused to do it.
The only player to be concerned about was Garrett Wilson. That was literally their only option all that day was Garrett Wilson. There was literally no reason to run nickel. You could have just brought that extra linebacker.
And our coaching staff just refused to adjust, and it drives me crazy. The second one, red zone. We are one of the worst offenses in the red zone this year. How is that even possible?
That is insane.
Like when we get down to the red zone, all of a sudden it's like they just forget how to play football. You have a 6'5", 240-pound quarterback that runs RPOs, and he doesn't run for any. Most of his touchdown runs are long touchdown runs. How are we not running that power quarterback sweep in the red zone?
Exactly. I mean, we can use quarterback sneaks and powers, and we can run a zone read when it's like 4th and 1 at the 40 or at the 30-yard line. But when it comes to the goal line situations, it is a different ball game there. Yeah, you got a 250-pound quarterback, and you don't really want to utilize that or any of your other guys in the backfield to try to go ahead and punch it in there. But we need to get better.
The middle. Stop running up the middle. Throw a toss.
We're running off tackle.
Run that power quarterback sweep. Stop trying to throw little crossers. They're constantly getting batted down. or it's just
Hmm.
so frustrating. How about the little quick bubble screen on on the 3 yard line as people are playing off? Let throw the bubble screen to Diggs. We ran that multiple times last year and he scored touchdowns. Like, where are all those plays instead of this, you know, cross? The guys can't hold him. Josh is running around, and then he gets sacked, or he has to throw it away, or we fumble, or we try to throw some stupid pitch that bounces off McKenzie's helmet. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
We have to be more assertive. We got to be more physical on the offensive line, especially in those
Mm-hmm.
goal line situations. Like we need to figure out an area of how we can build confidence within our offensive line, because as soon as we get inside the red zone, like we lose, like it's gone. The physicality is gone.
Mm-hmm.
We start to become a lot more finesse than we actually are running power. I mean, again, the whole mantra of this is the blue collar city. Again, it is blue collar. Where again we want to see toughness, but we've definitely kind of forgot about that. We've gone way more finesse, I think. And again, if we can imagine, if we can actually establish more of a threat running the football, not just with our quarterback, because he is our best running back right
Yeah,
now, but more of
but
the other
the
guys.
actual running back.
Like this is where you miss Richie Incognito, man, and you miss some of those other guys
Right?
that offensive
The Reuben
line.
Browns of the world, those
Yes,
monsters, the Eric Woods,
Jason Peters. Like this is where you miss
yeah.
them. You miss them there because that's how they made their money. They made their money at the goal line. And it's just, we got to get better there.
Yeah. Maybe you start running more of the pin and pull, which is leads into us being more athletic offensive line, because that's what our Mitch Morris runs the best, is that pin and pull. Let's get those big guys out in space, you know, open up those holes. Stop trying to run power with an offensive line that's finesse. It just doesn't work. So
And you got Roger, like you brought in again. You brought in Saffold and Queensberry for this very reason, to establish physicality.
mm-hmm.
That's why there was no other reason why you brought them, because they weren't great pass protectors. Never in their resume. You brought them here because you want to toughen up the offensive line. You let go of Cody Ford because he was not tough. He wasn't physical.
Yeah.
Right? That he was getting pretty much pushed around all throughout training camp, and that was the biggest complaint about him for players. Players even came out and said that you brought
Mm-hmm.
in these two dudes because you wanted to bring toughness in the offensive line. Well, let's act like, and instead of running a lot more finesse in the red zone.
Yep. And then the last one, don't let Justin Jefferson break the game.
It seems like it seems like he's going to get his yards. The question is though, is that
That's fine. Let him. He's going to get his yards. Don't let
yeah,
him break the game. Don't feel like you
exactly.
have to match what they're doing, especially if we have Casey Keenum in. Case Keenum. If Case Keenum's in there, don't feel like he has to be Josh Allen. Play the game. Run the ball.
Mhm.
Run play action. Get the ball out to Diggs. Get the ball out to some of the other playmakers. I'd love to see a Dawson Knox involvement this week. You know, run the short passing game. It's okay to run a short passing game. Doesn't hurt. If you get 3.5 yards per play, you get first downs. That's all you need. 3.5 yards per play.
Yep, you got to
So,
let him be a game. I mean, that let him do what he does best, and that's be a game manager.
yep.
Let him manage the game. So you got
And
to
if
simplify
Allen's
things.
there, that's fine. Stay with the short passing game. Stay with the run game. Get those guys going. Don't put it all on Allen. Because I'll tell you, if you start going out there and you try to throw the ball around and guys aren't catching it, Allen's going to feel like he's going to have to do it all himself, and that's what's going to lead to more injuries and more mistakes.
Yeah,
Just
and yeah, I
it
completely
seems
agree.
simple. It seems simple. Maybe it's not.
But like you said earlier, we have stubborn coaches. We got coaches that this is the game plan. This is what they've scheduled pretty much all year round, and they're not changing it.
Hmm.
This is what works, and this is what they're gonna go. This is what they believe works, and they're gonna keep going into it
Yeah.
until even when something goes wrong. Nope, this is the game plan. This is what we believe works. And I mean, hey, Sean McDermott, he is what he
No,
does.
no
This coach,
adjustments recently.
yeah. To
So
me, I
Dallas
mean,
comes in. We talked about this early. Dallas comes in and asks, "Who's the quarterback Sunday? Who do you want the quarterback to be Sunday?"
I'd rather be Case Keenum, honestly. Like I don't want to take that risk with Josh Allen because I just know as much as we're talking about how we want this game to be simplified, we want the game to be managed, we want the short passing attack, we want the running game to be established.
Mhm.
The fact of the matter is that if Josh Allen, which I think is going to be a game time decision, if he plays, we're going to go right back to what we do best,
Yeah.
and we're going to go away from what we believe can work, but they're not going to have the opportunities. And I feel like honestly with Josh Allen, again, we're going to do it because we don't want to disrupt his confidence. We don't want to. Josh Allen's going to do what Josh Allen does, and
Mhm.
unfortunately, if it does happen for this week, and if something else goes wrong, we're going to be taking a look at back at the stream and saying to ourselves, "Well, we said it.
Yeah.
We said what most fans have been implemented have been saying for years." And that's not having any sort of confidence at all in the rest of it. It's a little bit of a concern to me because that's just again you're not showing confidence in your roster. Like
Yeah.
for some people that may not make sense, but you're not showing confidence that this team can win without Josh Allen. And it's just we have the team to get by if we don't we don't have to force these issues, but we're not showing any sort of confidence at all in this roster that they can get the job done without Josh Allen being Superman, and that's becoming a huge issue.
Yeah. Josh has 22 of the 25 touchdowns that we have this year. I'm with Dallas here. I think the smart move would be to set Josh down for a week or two. Make sure that he's good to go, and play Keenum. It's not going to be the most popular move though. Josh Allen's in the middle of an MVP season, and missing games is going to hurt his MVP chances. And we so it won't be a popular move. I don't care about his MVP, his regular season
Yeah,
MVP. I care about Super Bowl MVP. That's what I care about. Get the guy healthy. If he has even a chance to make it worse, you don't play him. Even a slight chance, you don't play him. You sit him down. You get him ready. It's week 10. I don't even care if we get the one seed at all. Honestly, I'd rather have Allen healthy over the one seed.
yeah. Ask the Titans how it feels to have the number one seed, and then they just get
Right.
literally bounced out. Literally bounced out as soon as they get it. I don't care about it honestly. 'Cause I think once you're in the play, I mean, like I said, it'd be great to have home field advantage
Yeah.
all throughout the playoffs. It'd be great, but if we don't get it, so what? The Bengals were on the road the entire way, and they made it to the Super Bowl with a 10-7 record.
Yep.
Like when you're in the playoffs, it's all fair. Like records are all throughout the window. It's all about who's the best team. And I
And
feel
it's
like we
who
have
gets hot at the right time.
who gets hot at the right time. And I do not want my quarterback. I don't want him even being taking that risk, being out there, especially in a game where it doesn't really particularly matter that much. We lose this game, it's not going to hurt it's not going to hurt us. It's worse losing to the Jets and losing to the Dolphins or losing to any AFC conference opponent than losing to the Vikings this week. This is the one game where I'm like, we can kind of let this one go by if we wanted to. We'd be 6-3, who cares? But I'd rather have Josh Allen ready to go next week if he
Mm-hmm.
is ready, him being 85-90%, them having a 65 to 70% Josh Allen out there where his chances of being injured a little bit more often, especially because we're going against one of the more balanced teams in football. I would rather him sit out, get him ready for next week, than simply play him, risk him being injured for the rest of the year. And then all of a sudden, we are going to be stuck with Case Keenum, and we are going to get our rush because we're going to run the football a lot more for the entirety of the season with Singletary and the rest of those guys.
I'll tell you, if Josh Allen goes down, our Super Bowl hopes go down with it. I love Case Keenum, and he's a fantastic backup quarterback, but he's not taking us to the promised land. He's just
No,
not.
I don't think we made the playoffs, to be honest.
I do. I still think we make the playoffs. I don't think we have a chance to win in the playoffs against the good teams. Josh Allen's just too much of a difference maker, and it's why he makes us one of the best teams in football. And I agree with Dallas here. He says too much talk about the MVP. Only award Buffalo wants is the big one, is the trophy. That's all that matters. So sit your big guy down, make sure he's healthy, bring him back next week if that's the case. But
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out in what 48 hours, 72 hours, something like that. So with that, we'll move into the score predictions. Normally, this is where we sit down and Tommy gives me some random 40 to 4 prediction. I'm gonna take the score prediction based off of Case Keenum playing because that's what I'd like to see. Um, I'm gonna say 17-13 Bills. I think we find a way to dogfight this one and get it late, and we win 17-13.
I'm gonna go with the Vikings to win 27-13. I think for the most part,
27-13. So you think
yep,
they
27.
just walk us out of the building, huh?
Yep, I think they're gonna go ahead and do it. I do like the Vikings this year. I think they're one of the more balanced teams in football. I know a lot of people are kind of riding them off, but I do really like this team. I feel like for the most part, our rushing situation, it's not even really because Justin Jefferson's gonna, pull up a bunch of fancy numbers and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I think it's because they're gonna run the ball extremely well. And because Kirk Cousins has managed the game so well this year, I feel like that's not gonna go.
Do you
If
think
they
he's
can
really
run the
managed?
football,
Do you think he's managed so well? I mean, in that Miami game, they punted 10 times in that game and still won.
yeah, they find ways to win.
Okay,
They
okay,
listen, they find ways to win, man. But if they
they
can
do.
get it going, and if Kirk Cousins can manage that game, which again he hasn't, that's the one thing that's got them the record there is. Kirk Cousins doesn't have to do too much compared to what he's done with the past with the Vikings, and they've gotten
Yeah.
better. They've gotten a lot better. So I think 13-27 is going to be it for us. Again, the rushing defense is just my biggest concern. It's not even the pass defense; it's the rushing defense. That's been a concern over the last couple of weeks. I don't think that gets any better for this particular week,
With Milano back,
especially.
you don't think so?
I don't think that gets. I don't think that gets any better.
Okay,
I think our defensive line has a problem right now, and I feel like that can be fixed. But I think from a second level standpoint, and I think that from a defensive line standpoint, we got to figure out how to solidify that rushing defense. That's going to be very very important. Finding those disruptors and finding that consistency. But I feel like this week is not going to be that fixed. I think it will be fixed. Definitely. I feel like we'll get hot at a certain point in time. We'll get into that rhythm. I just don't think it's going to be this week. I think the Vikings will win solely because of the rushing attack, not because of Kirk Cousins, and I think they'll get the win 27-13.
okay. The last piece I have before we get out of here. Do you think we see Trey White this week?
I don't think they'll play Trey. I think they're going to hold him to as long as they possibly can. I think they're going to hold
Knowing
him.
Kyer is out, knowing Kyer Elam's
Yeah.
out, because if
Mm-hmm.
Kyer's out, they're gonna have to call somebody up
Yeah.
if they're not
I
gonna play Trey.
Yeah. I I think that's the original. I mean, I think that's the original game plan. They really want to hold them out until they feel like when we get to a certain point of the season where it's very very crucial where we can get Tre'Davious White in. Probably more closer to the point where if we make that playoff
Thanksgiving,
run,
so it's a
yeah,
1 year.
Thanksgiving, week 14 around there. I think that's when they want to play Trey. If somebody does get hurt, though, I feel like for the most part, that's when they're going to have to have no choice but to see what happens with Tre'Davious White. But they really want to make sure that ACL injury is completely healed and that he completely gets into a groove, into a rhythm. I don't think they want to take any sort of precaution with Trey playing.
Okay.
So I think that they'll hold him. But again, it'll be again if we can see Trey White plays and if he has no issues in that Vikings game, that'll be great to see. But I think they'll hold him. I think they
You think he's
want
gonna
to
be
take
close?
those
You think he's
precautions.
gonna be out, right around Thanksgiving or after Thanksgiving before we see him?
Yeah, I would literally say right that Lions game. I think he'll play. I think he's close.
Can you imagine that coming back on Thanksgiving as a
That'd be great.
1 year to the day that he tore it? I mean that's such a Bills thing, right? Such a
Yeah.
Bills way to do things. All right. Thank you, everyone in the chat. We appreciate you coming in and riding with us tonight. Tommy will be back later this weekend for Fantasy Kingdom tomorrow, and then he also has a couple other shows tomorrow night, and then we'll be back for Sunday's post game. Jarek, we appreciate you sitting in tonight, brother. Stepping in for Tommy. For Jarek, Tommy, and myself, we'll see you guys in a couple days. Go Bills.